after losing more than 100 hours of content, I decided that we needed to create the second installment of our Dr.Hood 10-minute tutorials, which according to some of the commenters, this is 11 minutes and 18 seconds long, not 10 minutes, laugh out loud. And while I have broken promises in the past, this one I can promise you is going to be...
But wait, didn't you just waste like half a minute explaining...
Shit. You know what? Alright, fine. Let's just get started with a tutorial on our main man, Goyo.
It's time to
Now, from a rank perspective, Goyo is that of an area denial operator that prevents enemies from entering certain parts of the map. Current area denial operators include that of Smoke, Mira, Castle, and Melusi. But for this comparison, I really want to compare Smoke to Goyo, considering that Smoke is one of the highest used in Pro League and in rank situations. Now, when finding the advantages of using Goyo over Smoke, an operator used in both Pro League and rank proficiently, I like to mention that when we look at the Rainbow Six Siege backstory of Goyo, beyond the fictional bullshit we're given, it states that his incisive questioning highlights new tactical considerations or encourages out-in-the-box thinking from other members of the Rainbow Six Siege team. And that's because when they created Goyo, they wanted to create a area denial operator that ultimately worked with other operators to create effective roaming strategies that would ultimately deny enemy pushes. And this was used by multiple ranked teams when he was first introduced. But after removing one of his shields, we ultimately saw his efficiency and his use go down within Pro League. But why is that? Goyo's gadget was used by roamers in Pro League as a piece of utility that could peek unsuspecting attackers and slow down aggressive entries. Due to controversy over the large amount of utility clearing in Pro League meta, one of Goyo's shields was removed, forcing teams to rethink their strategy of implementing Goyo shields for roamers' use and protection. By removing a shield, not all flanks of roamers could be covered, and the need for Goyo couldn't be justified. This change angered many ranked players, as he only had a 10% usage in the higher ranks of Siege before the patch. Though, according to Intero, this is because many ranked teams lack the communication to utilize Goyo's powerful gadget. When going over the supports and counters of Goyo, we need to first look at the supports that come with this necessary gadget. Now, Goyo's gadget needs the cooperation of a team to be used successfully, and the use of supports such as Jaeger Omai can prevent attackers, gadgets, and nades from clearing the shields away. It has also been promoted by a former Pro League player known as Reaper-N that Goyo can also work alongside Mutant Mozzie in anti-intelligent efforts to weaken enemy pushes, making Goyo a versatile operator in the right hands. Finally, remember that operator gadgets like Maestro can activate Goyo shields, which can strengthen the capabilities of Maestro in denying hard and aggressive entries. Now, counters to Goyo include any operator that has a throwable or shootable explosive device that ultimately can detonate and destroy the shield. This can include soft breachers such as Ashe and Sophia, and hard breachers such as that of Ace, but it can also include those with nades such as that of Sledge, Maverick, and Finka. We also can't forget that LVs, when attached to shields, can also destroy them, making Kali another proficient counter to that of Goyo. And now here are a couple of tips to mastering Goyo in order to be more proficient with them with defensive setup and rank strategy. Now, in analyzing Goyo's loadout, we find two great primaries and good gadgets to support his playstyle. But first off, we go over the Vector, the most common gun I use with Goyo. Now, generally I rock the holographic, but that is a preference thing per se, and I also rock the compensator, generally because you're going to fire this gun rapidly. Finally, I rock the vertical grip because I want to contain the recoil. But if we go further into the barrels, I'm going to tell you this, personal preference, some people pick the muzzle brake, some people pick the extended barrel, it's really up to you. I honestly picked the compensator just because it's just for what I use it for, it's more practical for me. Now, going over the TCSG-12, I ultimately rocked the ACOG on this bad boy. And as for barrels, I would have told you back then before the nerf to go with the silencer, but as you see, the damage reduction is a little bit too much, so I recommend you don't rock the silencer anyway. And I also rock the vertical grip to control recoil, because as you see, if you use the angle grip, the recoil pattern is just way too high, so rocking the vertical grip is most practical for using this essentially a DMR. Now, as for which primary to select, I ultimately end up choosing DMR at long range, the Vector at short range, and more often not pick the DMR. And in terms of it is secondary, I really just, there's only one option, so what are you going to do? As for the gadgets, I generally use the C4. He also has proximities, but the C4 is just more practical for how you're going to be playing with Goyo anyway. Now, in placing Goyo's gadget, there's a couple do's and don'ts that we must follow in order to effectively use this gadget, as there's a lot of vulnerable aspects of this gadget that acts as a double-edged sword that can hurt not only the enemies, but your own team. Now, when comparing Goyo's gadget to that of Smoke's gadget, we notice that Goyo's gadget lasts 2 seconds longer, lasting 12 seconds compared to Smoke's 10. But compared to Smoke, it does about 3 less damage per every tick, though Goyo's shield ultimately does 3 ticks of damage per second, so as long as the enemy is caught within it. Whenever placing Goyo's shield, do not cut yourself off. Place it in the middle of the objective. You're cutting yourself off more than you're cutting the enemy off. Place it in the middle of the room. There's too many areas where which the enemy can just simply go around it. Place it facing an enemy push. Pretty simple logic. They will destroy it before you can. And also, don't place on rotations. Placing it here makes it vulnerable of risk of being destroyed, and if it is destroyed, it cuts off the rotation. Do not place it directly on the bomb. There are clearly better places to place the shield. And finally, do not play directly behind the shield. This is a common mistake made by even more advanced players behind Goyo, as they think it is a deployable shield. But let me give you an demonstration as to why you don't do this. Upon it being destroyed, you lose 42 health, and your health begins to decrease
All friendlies
fast.
were eliminated. Mission failure.
A good place is to place a shield on the corner of pillars watching hallways.
5 seconds and counting.
You can also place it on the corner of stairs. While here the bathroom is a problem, say they decide to push you on the stairway, you can easily fall back into cover and destroy the shield in the process. You can also put them on these arcs. With these arcs, you can hold multiple entrances, and if you need to, dip back into cover while destroying the shield for enemy pushes. You can also place in the common enemy pushes, such as here on Trophy Window. There's a lot of cover to be able to hide behind to play off of, and you can detonate pretty easily. Finally, you can place it in the middle of double doors. Here, they cannot go around the shield and are forced to either go over or destroy it, both likely outcomes when trying to defend against double doors. Finally, something important to recognize is how close you are playing to the shield. Kind of similar to what we don't do with shield, you need to make sure that when you're playing off the shield, how far you are playing off of it, because the detonation range is actually quite large. For example, let me give you a demonstration of what happens when you detonate it. As you can see, it even covers this corner here, so that's why you want to make sure you play off the shield with plenty enough space to be able to detonate it. Now let's apply these do's and don'ts to a practical situation, such as here on a trophy protection. Now, let's say for the last couple of rounds, they've actually been pushing from games, right? So we're ultimately going to place one on a statue and hold from statue. Now, upon a game's push, we're actually going to detonate our game's Goyo shield. Upon detonating the game's Goyo shield, we're now going to use the Goyo shield in front of us as a deploy shield as we fall back into statue. Though upon the game's push starting to come upon us, we're going to detonate the Goyo shield in front of us and halt the game's push altogether. Another situation we can actually use Goyo is down here in basement. We open rotation hole into construction. Upon placing 2 Goyo shields in this construction hallway, a common place to push for hard breachers in order to attack basement, we're ultimately going to use the second Goyo shield as a deployable shield. Upon a construction push, we're going to detonate the first Goyo steel in order to give us some buffer room for the enemy attack. And upon holding this Goyo shield in front of us, we're going to start falling back to our rotation hole, where we'll detonate in front of us and start to reinforce. By reinforcing here, we have wasted a ton of the attacker's time and now can properly defend right. Finally, let's take it to theme park, where we're actually going to hold yellow corridor. We're going to place one here in the yellow corridor corner and one here in daycare. By holding the yellow corridor corner, we're actually going to look upon cafe and hold the cafe push. But if we're pushed at arcade, we can simply detonate the arcade shield and start falling back. Detonate the yellow corridor shield in front of us and fall back to our friendlies and start to anchor in sight. The final situation I want to show you was an unranked match in which I was holding Canal. Upon them getting the wall and upon them pushing me, I realized they only had 18 seconds and were still outside. I decide here to detonate both the shields. Now they have to go completely around in order to push me, and in order to get the plant down, making it very hard to accomplish a feat in this 1v1 situation. And because they cannot get a plant down, I will have won the engagement. And with that, the tutorial is officially over. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for this whole time. I'm doing a 100 sub giveaway, so if you've not subscribed, please do. And leave a like and comment down below. Thank you guys for supporting this channel. We're going up. And you guys have a good one.